Proponents of the proposed consumer-owned utility that would replace CMP and Versant are saying they will keep the lights on longer and for less. The announcement from Pine Tree Power, which Mainers will have a chance to vote on in November, comes on the heels of post-tropical storm Lee. Pine Tree Power says their proposal isn't just about lower electric bills, but say they would be more reliable in storm response. They say only public power and cooperatives are able to receive FEMA assistance after declared disasters, whereas investor-owned utilities like CMP pass these costs on to customers.
Why wouldn't you want to have a say in how your utility operates? It's that simple. You want to be spoon-fed everything, or do you want to have some involvement?
Maine Energy Progress released a poll today showing that 54% of Maine voters oppose the proposal to replace CMP and Versant. Maine Affordable Energy Coalition, who opposes Pine Tree Power, says there is absolutely nothing in the Pine Tree Power referendum that would guarantee more reliable service or lower rates. All they do is make promises that a state-run power company will somehow do a better job restoring after a storm.